Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the 8 o'clock, 8 to 10 webinar. I was in the previous webinar, so if you're coming from there, you may recognize me, but otherwise, I have done very many webinars over the past few weeks with my yes. So you may know me. If not, I will introduce myself. My name is Sean. I'm 21 years old. I come from Ireland, in the west of Ireland in particular, and I work in Milan in the Mayas school on Via Meravigli. So, where do you come from, everyone? I want to know, whoever's watching. It's just me today in this particular webinar, so I would really like to know where you are from. What's your name? Tell me your story. I want a bit of interaction, a bit of back and forth between us in this webinar. And we have students from all of the different cities of Italy, and also now our some schools in France and Spain. So, you know, Italy is a diverse country anyway. So we have lots of different kinds of students and lots of different stories to share. So please write in, where are you from? And while you're doing that, I will introduce today's focus. Activity for this hour is auction house. So maybe I need to explain what an auction is. So an auction, type of sale without a set price, let's say. It is decided by bidding. It is decided by bidding. And bidding is when you say, I bid 100 euro, I bid 200 euro, I bid 300 euro. It's the price you're offering. It's an offer. Bid is an offer. So you say, I bid something else. And it's specifically for an auction context. So there is no price for the thing that's on sale. It's decided in that moment by the bids, by the competition between different people. Hi, Alessandra from Naples. Thank you for joining. I would really love to visit Naples. I've never visited Naples. And of course, at the moment, it's not possible. But maybe this summer I will visit Naples finally. So, what are we discussing when we discuss an auction house? So, the place where you hold an auction, the company that organizes auctions, is called the auction house. So, this is an opportunity to talk about adjective order and just talk about technical and emotional adjectives. This is a great focus for kind of expanding your vocabulary, expanding your capacity to describe. We're going to look at interesting adjectives to describe something in a technical way, just describe the qualities of its appearance, of its function, and then emotional, kind of describing the quality or the feeling or the value of something with adjectives. And to do that, we need to really come to grips with adjective order in English, which is very difficult for non-native speakers. It's a tricky thing that you really have to memorize. because it won't hurt understanding, but it will really elevate how your English is perceived if you can use adjective order correctly, if you can order your adjectives as a native speaker would. Because we do it instinctively, we don't think about it, and it sounds very strange if someone doesn't use the correct order, even if you can understand what they mean. So this is something that needs to be studied, that needs to be practiced. And luckily today you have a chance to practice it. So I would love for everyone to really give this webinar their all, whether they're watching now or watching later. So what is an auction house? We have 3 questions that I want you to answer. So, how is Amazon different from eBay? What are your personal experiences with auctions? Why do people shop at auctions and not shops? So this is a good warm-up to kind of understand auctions and this particular context. Really come to grips with what an auction is. So please answer the questions in the comments. I will discuss them myself. So how is Amazon different from eBay? So this is an interesting subject. Amazon and eBay, they're 2 big websites for selling things online. And I think, I'm not certain about this, but there's a few major differences between them. Amazon does not sell second-hand goods to the extent that eBay does. Amazon is a way of connecting suppliers to customers, but often the goods are produced, they're new things. So, I mean, all of the things you can buy on Amazon, books, clothes, but the suppliers are generally businesses and companies and people who produce a product. They make clothes, they make something in particular, which you purchase through Amazon. eBay is then more individuals selling items that they possess. So they don't have a corporation where they're producing. They just have items that they want to sell. Yeah, exactly, Alessandra. I agree 110%. Sellers sell new things. eBay, no. Mostly second-hand things or particular objects that you have in your house or that you collect and you sell them through this platform. Very related to our context, on eBay you have auctions, on Amazon you have a set price. And on eBay you can also make an offer. And if they accept the offer, even if it's less than the price, you can get it for less than the price they're suggesting. So you have buy it now and auction on eBay. So, Alessandra, eBay is less safe. So, less safe, not safer. For less, you don't use the comparative form. Less safe, individual, and people can sell secondhand and new things. Yeah, so it's less safe, it is individual, and people can sell secondhand and new things. It's a lot of secondhand, but also there are some people selling new things. And yeah, because it's less trusted corporations, the way that you have operating through Amazon, it is often less safe. You do have people who don't sell you something, or you can find unreliable sellers more on eBay than Amazon. I think some years ago, eBay was dominant, but now I think Amazon is really the one that everyone buys from. A lot in this period because we don't have ordinary shops. I'm not sure, but on eBay you can't make refunds and exchanges. Really? That's very bad. I didn't know that. I think maybe it's correct, because it's this kind of individual system. Yeah, that's the problem with online shopping. I know even with Amazon, you can order things and they are not how they appear online. They are different to the picture, um, because people can easily misrepresent what they're selling. On Amazon, they're free. Yes, Amazon, I think it's policy to refund. Yeah, Amazon is much more united and structured than eBay. I think you have a kind of a central organization of the company. I try not to buy from Amazon personally, even if it's difficult because they're so dominant and they offer such a useful service. I really don't. What I have read about the treatment of the workers and their general business practice, I for me it's very they make they do quite very bad things to make more money. And for me, it's not necessary. They're already very dominant, and I suppose it's why they're dominant. But I personally try and avoid shopping from Amazon. I have shopped from eBay on a variety of occasions for specific things that maybe you can't find in person in shops in your city. But I'm not big on online shopping in general because so often what you order is not what you get, and I just prefer to see the object and to have it in my hands before I buy it. And what are your personal experiences with auctions? Question two. Personally, I studied art history in university, the history of art and architecture. And very much this is a kind of a subject. When you study this, it prepares you for for the job of auction houses. Because this relates, I think, to the third question: why do people shop at auctions and not shops? Specific things like houses and cars and art are, especially when they are maybe a bit older and they have a kind of an indefinable value. They're maybe culturally significant or interesting, and it's not just about the materials and what those materials are worth. There's something else in particular about the object. This is when an auction is good because those kind of objects are difficult to precisely value, and consequently, an auction allows the object to sell for less if it turns out people aren't interested, and to sell for more if it turns out people are interested. I think it's a great way of stimulating, sometimes of making people pay more than they would in a shop. Um, I think very often people get into a competitive spirit in an auction, and it's a kind of a pressurized environment with going once, going twice. You feel that there's time pressure. If you want this thing, I think it affects your perception. And like I was saying, I studied art history, and they very much spoke about auctions, and they taught us about auctions. They prepared us for this kind of a work environment. I had an internship in a gallery where they had auctions, and this is very important in the world of art because a painting's value is quite subjective. It can vary depending on who's interested, how important it is. Very much antiques, old objects, old paintings, old cars, old just old furniture. Very much auctions are very popular. Alessandro, personally, I had a horrible experience on eBay buying a new smartphone because the seller shipped it without protections or boxes. Oh my God. That's very bad. The screen was divided in two parts when it arrived. Yes. Oh, I mean, I've only ever bought very small things on eBay because, things like smartphones, you can often find them for much less money on something like eBay, but there you are accepting a certain risk, of an unreliable seller. You don't know the person at the other end. There's no process to determine how trustworthy they are. In Amazon, there is, I think. The seller was not very happy to give my money back. Well, I'm glad you did get your money back. They certainly should have been more, they should have provided much sooner your money without question. I mean, a screen divided in two parts is not what you ordered. So, oh my God, you have to go. I opened a PayPal contestation to get my money back. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. You do have the PayPal. It's safer. On eBay, you pay through PayPal. So if things go wrong, it's kind of through PayPal that you have your last option. But yeah, I mean, it's not really good enough, especially if you're paying the kind of money you have to pay for a smartphone. So you have to be careful. And certainly, I don't think this sort of thing happens with Amazon. So, oh yes, good. You got your money back. Very, very important with the kind of money that you spend on a smartphone. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you for sharing your experience, Alessandra. I will move along to the next portion, which is explaining adjective order. Just a little bit. So, in English, our adjectives have a set order. Put the headings into the correct order. So I'll give you a moment, Alessandra, or anyone else who is watching. Put these in the correct order. What comes first? What comes last? Is this something you've memorized or not? I will give you a moment. If you don't know, I don't think you will know, but I'll give you a second to memorize this. To write this into the comments, please. So we have material, color, shape, size, origin, noun, opinion, or age. Okay, very good. Opinion, number one. Absolutely, Alessandra, excellent. Size and then age. Very good. Shape. Mm-hmm. And color. Yeah. Origin. This is great. You seem to know this. Material. Absolutely. And I think, yeah, that's all of them. Right, we have a noun as well. Anyway, we'll get it into the order: opinion, size, age, shape, color, origin, material, and then a noun. Yes. Excellent work. Excellent work, Alessandra. Oh yes, the noun comes after. That's what that is. Yes, excellent work, Alessandra. This is the order. It's good to have that memorized the way you clearly do. It's really important because when you speak and when you write, this is a set order in English. It's always, always, always like this. As a native speaker, I am lucky enough to just innately have this. I know to do this because I've never heard a native speaker do anything else. But obviously, when you learn the language, you're not that lucky. So that's absolutely what you have to do. And now what we want to do, using the below table for adjective order, describe the flag and the kitten opposite. So first we have the kitten and then we have the flag. We want to use not all of them because in English it would, in any situation, it is totally excessive and unnecessary to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 adjectives. It's ridiculous. Don't do that. I would say 3 is good, 2 is great, 4 is okay. Don't do more than 4. So choose a few of these: size, age, shape, opinion, 3 or 4. Choose an adjective to describe our kitten, our lovely kitten, and the flag here. And put them in the correct order that the table will help you with. So again, I'll give you a minute, Alessandra, or anyone else who's watching. Can you describe the flag and the kitten? It's up to you what adjectives to use. Choose. Wonderful. It's a beautiful little grey Egyptian kitten. Perfect. Absolutely. Egyptian, is that the kind of cat, or do all cats come from Egypt? I suppose they do. But yeah, beautiful little grey Egyptian kitten. Yes, it is beautiful. Wonderful, Alessandra. Thank you. So yeah, it's little, the color, it's grey. So they have here cute, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with. Cute. Cute means attractive in a endearing way. For children or small animals. So it really, it's cute, it's small, it's precious, for babies, small animals, for children, not really for adults. Americans would use it sometimes for adults, but when they use it for an adult, they suggest that they are attractive in the way that, a kitten or a puppy or a baby is attractive. They have that same kind of precious or endearing beauty. Small, young, grey kitten. So that's what they have here. Yours are very good too, Alessandra. And you've also described the flag. It's a big, old, faded American flag. Yeah, big and older actually. Ones that we use a lot together, and you just say a big old something, a big old disaster, a big old, and it's just kind of an emphasis, big old mess, oh, big old idiot. I don't know why, it doesn't even mean big and old when you use it in this context, but big and old used together can be quite kind of emphatic, or, the same kind of thing as always. So here they have old, square, American cotton flag. Yeah, so it's absolutely an American flag. That's the origin, and the material is cotton. So really great work. Stay with me, Alessandra. So read the two adverts and discuss in pairs which is better and why. Number one, nice old chair made of wood and in good condition. For sale, £10. Number two, here is a beautiful antique wooden chair. It is a fantastic example of woodworking with some striking looks. It is in perfect condition, almost as good as new. Act now to secure this chair at the low price of £10. So I think it's quite obvious that as a sales pitch, as a piece of writing designed to make someone want to buy something, number two is more effective because the language is more dynamic, it's more varied, it is more descriptive. It's all positive, perhaps not really that accurate to say this is a fantastic example. I mean, it looks quite basic to me. Um, but you tend to exaggerate the positive qualities or something, or reframe negative qualities, like antique, old, a bit negative, antique, positive. So you're reframing the negative, you're emphasizing the positive, and you're using a lot of description to make it feel dynamic, to make it feel valuable, to make it feel important. Because we only really use a lot of descriptive words to describe something which is unusual or unique or important. Alessandra says the first description could be good for the title. Yeah, it's just not long enough for an advertisement. It's a good title. It gives you, I mean, the first description, in my opinion, is in terms of accuracy better. It's clearer and more succinct. It's more realistic. But the second one exactly describes better the conditions and the characteristics. It goes into more detail, which is what you need to do if you want to sell something. It's what you need to do. So we're going to think about selling things. But before we do that, we need to really brainstorm some adjectives. So, technical adjectives. Can you think of adjectives for these categories? Shape, size, material, texture, and features. So at the very beginning, I kind of mentioned the difference between technical and then emotional adjectives. So these are technical adjectives. You're talking about the specifics of an object, the facts. What is it composed of? How does it feel? What is the shape? How big is it? What are notable elements of the object? So I will give you a minute again to brainstorm, to think of some adjectives for these categories. So what describing words talk about shape? What describing words talk about size? What describing words talk about material? What ones talk about texture? And what ones talk about features? I'll give you a moment to make some suggestions before we reveal and explain the options that they have here. So please write in, Alessandra, as you've been doing, and we have other people watching, so feel free to introduce what you think. So just because we only have so much time, maybe while you're writing in your suggestions, I will reveal and explain the ones that we have here. So shape, square, circular, triangular. Very simple. To talk about what shape the object applies to resembles. Is it a square? Is it a circle? Is it a triangle? When you are making those shapes into adjectives, square, circular, triangular, rectangular. Okay, we have some suggestions from Alessandra for the other ones. 2, big or little. So absolutely big and little. 3, glassed, wooden, absolutely correct. It's just glass when you talk about it being made of glass. This is tricky because sometimes you change the material when it becomes an adjective. Wooden, for example. Otherwise, for other ones you don't. Glass, cotton, silk. Some specific ones, wooden. For example, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I think really common historic ones would tend to maybe change, whereas other ones don't. So wood, wooden in that specific case, and also rectangular and circular. Yeah, so rectangular, it's the same as circular, triangular. It's that 8-4. For size, they don't have big or little, even though those are the most common ways of talking about size. They've gone a bit more abstract. So you have petite, which is French. And for me, petite is kind of a positive way of saying little. It's kind of little in an attractive way. For women's clothes, they don't say really small or little. They say petite because it sounds more sophisticated, more positive. Then we have small and large and enormous, extremely large, impossibly large. Material, we have cotton, metal, leather, plastic. None of these ones are any change. So also glass, also wood. And then texture, smooth and rough. So texture is how it feels. So smooth is there is nothing on the surface. It's a flat surface. There's nothing coming up, no texture really. Smooth is sort of the absence of any particular texture. You can move it across. No friction, things like glass are smooth. Rough is a kind of a tough or hard texture, not smooth, the opposite of smooth, really. Something like sandpaper is the definition of rough. Also, before you treat it, before you glaze it, wood is rough, but then after you treat it, after you glaze it, wood becomes smooth. So generally rough is not a great texture. It depends on what you're going for, but smooth is generally more positive, even though they're just different. Then we have features, mechanical, electrical, aerodynamic. This is just kind of another one to talk about, what exactly is the object, what is particular about it maybe. This is mechanical, electrical, different systems, the kind of science associated with the object, and aerodynamic, very interesting. What does aerodynamic mean? Aerodynamic, designed to move without friction. So we were talking about rough and smooth. So without friction, move smoothly through the air, really, something aerodynamic. certain cars, sports cars, have to be aerodynamic. They have to be able to glide through the air. Only certain kinds of design can really move easily through the air. Kind of streamlined and very smooth objects move through the air much better than textured or rough or very square objects can move through the air. So that's an interesting one. So now we're going to write a technical description. We want to describe this car, this beautiful, I think it's a Jaguar. I think it's a really beautiful old car. But those are, beautiful is an emotional description. And I want a technical description. Talk about the shape, the size, the material, the texture, and the features. And do not forget to put the adjectives in the correct order, of course. But just describe the car. What is it made of? What is the shape? Is there anything particular about the features? What's the system? You know, describe this car in technical terms. I'll give you a minute to do that. Because I think when you're selling something like a car, you know, this kind of description is really the best because these are where the concerns are of the consumer. They want to know it's a machine, you know, how does it work? What is it? What's going on? Exactly, technically, shape, the size, the materials, the textures. It's much more, it's not so much about the emotional associations. You want to know how it functions, exactly what it is with any kind of machine. Hi, Alex. No worries about being late. Nice to have you with us. Please join us in our activity of the moment. Write a technical description for the car. Be sure to describe the shape, sizes, materials, textures, and features. And do not forget to put the adjectives in the correct order. So you missed the few slides we had explaining adjective order. But hopefully you will already know and be able to describe them in the correct order. If not, still try. I will correct any errors in adjective order. This is what we are practicing today. So describe the car, please. Yeah, no, Alex, these webinars, you know, you can join at the end. It's not like a lesson, you know, it's what you can catch and you can watch later if you want to see the beginning again. Wonderful. Automatic or hand shift, so with a gear stick. This is really important with a car when you're talking about features. So an automatic car is the kind that they drive in America where you don't have the gear stick, you don't change the gears manually. So you talk about manual and automatic. And that goes absolutely at the end. So manual car. Oh, Alessandro knows this car. This is an incredible Ferrari 250 G2O, the most expensive historical car ever. Oh, really? It's a Ferrari. Interesting. I mean, it is. It looks really incredible, yeah. So the most expensive historical car ever. Very good. Expensive historical. Totally correct. And modern and technological or historic, like the picture. Yeah, these are all very good adjectives. I don't really think it's modern. It's what we would say for this car is it's vintage. When you talk about an old car, you want to say it's vintage, especially a car like this, where its age is a positive quality. It's a beautiful, it's a kind of antique at this point. Vintage, so old in a positive sense. And vintage is the word we use for cars. We don't talk about antique cars. We always talk about vintage cars. So this is a vintage car. Vintage and, yeah, historic, technological. So, very good, guys. We will move on to emotional adjectives before we finish. Alessandra has more to say about the lovely car. It's small and black. For this reason, it was called a widowmaker. Oh, that's quite it's quite sad if people crash this car. It had a fantastic engine. V12 is the kind of engine, I suppose. So that would be a feature as an adjective, a V12. Fantastic engine with a beautiful sound. Okay. Wow. Maybe it's the best Italian car ever and it's manual. Okay, this is all interesting to know. I do think that, Italians have an approach to making cars which is very, it's artistic. They don't make cars the way that the Germans or the Japanese do. They make cars like they're works of art, and I think that's very evident in this picture. So, yeah, I think this car actually kind of, for me anyway, I wanted to use emotional adjectives because it was quite attractive and, you know, it wasn't just a technical object, there was an emotional appeal. So, can you think of adjectives for these categories? Positive appearance, negative appearance, smell, and emotional impact. Please give me some suggestions in the comments, and I will reveal the ones that we have here anyway. So, beautiful, attractive. So, beautiful, attractive is very similar to beautiful. I would say attractive is a more, in terms of in the real world, beautiful is more abstract. If a woman or a man is attractive, people, have an attraction to them. People want to be their romantic partner. If a car is attractive, people want to drive the car. It's a kind of beauty that attracts someone, that makes them want to use an object or interact with someone. Whereas, something could be beautiful and you don't want to use it, you don't want to be near it. It's beautiful, but it's not attractive. Fuel saving is positive. Absolutely, now especially. I don't think that car was particularly fuel saving. Old and especially sports cars weren't very fuel saving. Alessandra has some for negative appearance. Ugly, horrible, disgusting. Those are all really great. Ugly, there you have it. Ugly, horrible, disgusting. Really, they're kind of the same. Not nice. Negative appearance. Disfigured is when something is distorted or it's not as it should be. So, disfigured implied that it should have a positive appearance, but it doesn't. Something has just so usually an object which has been destroyed or ruined in some way is disfigured. It has been distorted. It has been disfigured. It does not have the appearance or the figure that it once had. Smell, sweet, fragrant, or disgusting. Yeah, very good. Fragrant, very powerful smell. It's very fragrant. There's a lot of smell from it. And disgusting. So we have putrid, rotten. Putrid and rotten are very similar, kind of a really acutely unpleasant, like the smell of food which is bad, of, something which is decaying, and then opposite, fresh or delicious. So perfect to eat, tastes really good, and emotional impact. Really wonderful work, Alessandra. You've got a great vocabulary. Breathtaking, disturbing, both wonderful. Breathtaking, it's so impactful that you stop breathing for a moment. And breathtaking is totally positive. Here we have inspiring, encouraging, striking, or horrifying. Inspiring, it makes you want to improve yourself, take action in life. Encouraging, again, similar to inspiring. Striking, quite like breathtaking. And horrifying, like disturbing. It's totally emotionally negative. It makes you feel horror. It makes you feel disturbance. It's really very bad. Exciting, yeah, it's an exciting thing. It makes you feel excited. So emotional impact, the emotion that it triggers, the object. So just before we finish, we're going to write an emotional description for the landscape. Be sure to use adjectives to describe the appearance and the emotional impact. And don't forget to put the adjectives in the correct order. So maybe we have to sell this piece of land. Very often you have auctions for a piece of land, for a property. Almost always you don't have a set price. And even if there is, a set price, you barter a little bit, you make an offer, you negotiate. To barter is to adjust the price by negotiation. So describe this landscape, sell it to me. What are the emotions of this, the emotional qualities of this landscape? We don't have a lot of time, but I will give you a few minutes because both Alex and Alessandra have been very active in the comments, and I think they will be able to describe this well, judging by what they've been saying. You need this place to be relaxed and inspired. Inspired, ED. Yes, being inside under quarantine, I must say this landscape is particularly appealing to me in this moment. That's a breathtaking, huge Sicilian landscape. You think it's Sicily, it reminds you of Sicily. Yeah, I think it reminds me a little bit of Ireland as well, the kind of the green and what you might call rolling hills, kind of hills that continue through the horizon into the distance. This picture makes me happy and hopeful. That's nice, Alex. So it's a joyful, inspiring, breathtaking, um, you know, strengthening image to look at. Strengthening. It makes you feel stronger, It empowers you. Okay. Quiet, quiet. So that's quiet. So quiet. I'll put that in the chat. Relaxing. So this is the correct spelling. Enormous green and sky blue flatland. So use it blue sky, blue skied, if you wanted to make this an adjective, blue skied. Which you can, very good, it's a compound adjective. So you can make adjectives by combining words which aren't adjectives to describe a particular quality. A blue skied land. Yeah, it's quite flat as well. And enormous. Yeah, great work, guys. We need to finish up. The time is up. Thank you, Alessandro. You were very present, and also Alex towards the end. Um, yeah, that's it for today's webinar. It's a good one for the vocabulary and also just to revise adjective order because it's something important to practice just in your everyday life, and it can really elevate your language to be able to describe an object with the correct adjective order and also with some really interesting or unusual words. And I was very glad to see that you have good vocabulary, you have some good describing words. So thank you, and bye bye to both of you and anyone else watching. Okay, good night.